All right, we're doing it. We're here 2 days prior. Well, yeah, 2 days prior. If you're on the East Coast, then it's tomorrow. But we are finally getting to the Super Bowl preview, the Super Bowl 56 preview.
Yep, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good matchup. We got our matchup set. It was two teams that surprised a lot of people, and I'm glad we're finally here after all these predictions. So
Now,
yeah,
I gotta say, this is my first appearance publicly on YouTube since since the Chiefs beat the Bills in the division round. I think it's for a good reason. That was a tough one to take, especially when you're at the goddamn game. But we have to talk about it as we do every week. Talk about how the teams got to where they are. So let's just get out of the way. The Chiefs lose an Arrowhead to the Bengals in a coaching collapse in the second half, and I don't really want to talk about it. But yeah, the Chiefs just simply put got outcoached, and that is how the Bengals are in the Super Bowl. And then the Rams, on the
yeah,
other hand, I don't really think this surprises many people. They went in, they got Matthew Stafford, they sold their future away for this super team. So it'd be kind of embarrassing if they didn't get to this point.
right. Yeah,
You know.
I mean, yeah, I mean I think it was definitely an expectation that they were going to be in the Final Four at least. And now, I mean, I think I think they're definitely, in my eyes, favorites in terms of on paper. But I
For
also
sure.
think the Bengals are on the hype train right now with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, the young talent. So I think this Super Bowl is a one for the ages. It almost kind of reminds me of last year a little bit, just because you have Brady, who's a veteran. This year you have Stafford, who's a veteran, and then you have sort of like the future of the league in Joe Burrow, and then last year, of course, Mahomes. So I think definitely it's going to be a good Super Bowl, no matter who wins, because you have kind of a tale of two sides. You have a team, quite literally in your words, saying like selling their future, getting rid of draft picks, and then you have a team that drafts very well, quite evidently. So I think definitely it's a good point. Yeah.
Well, both teams had very different paths leading up to this moment, leading up to getting to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, and
Right.
I think both ways are very respectable. I think for a lot of people, it's a fun Super Bowl just because it's always Brady in the Super Bowl, and it's always this and that. So it's kind of a change for once, And so
Yeah.
I feel like for a lot of NFL fans, not for Chiefs fans, but for a lot of NFL fans, it's an exciting Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting on the couch tomorrow or 2 days, and I'll be wearing my jersey in pain. One last time to throw the red and gold on for the season, and I guess that'll be it until draft day in April. But you know, um, I feel like it'll be a good Super Bowl. I don't think it'll be like high scoring. Like I feel like the defenses are gonna show up, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
don't really
mean,
know what to expect, to be honest with you.
yeah. I know because it's strange because like both teams in their last games. I mean, I guess the Bengals had a pretty high scoring game against the Chiefs when it was all said and done. I mean, I guess average scoring. And the Niners, Rams. I mean, the Rams had a pretty decent scoring effort. But I think you're right. I think usually a lot of people expect the Super Bowl to be really high scoring because it's the two best teams playing each other. But I think honestly, with the way the playoffs have been with the Rams and Bengals so far, I think it's going to be a lot low scoring. Not like a Super Bowl 53 type low scoring game, but I think it's going to be more like I'll throw it out there, maybe like a 27-20 type score, not like something too high, but sort of a medium scoring game.
Well, I
That being
hope the
said, though,
Rams get more than 3 points this time around.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, what a letdown that was back in Super Bowl 53, but I think now they've showed that their offense is electrifying with the likes of Cooper Cup, Stafford, of course. They have a lot of talent, and I think the Bengals do as well. And I think that's why, although the offenses or the defenses in this game are of course going to be really good. I think the offenses for both teams have showed that they've been significantly improved over the season. But yeah, for sure, I think definitely made a good point there.
Yeah, I don't really know where to go off. I mean, we can go back to the NFC Championship game, Niners
Yeah.
Rams. I think. I mean, I predicted. We can go over the predictions real quick. I actually, you know what?
Yeah.
We can't because I don't have my notebook. But I'll tell you right now. I know I said Rams and Chiefs, so I was 1 for 1. I want to go see. Well, hold on real quick. I'm gonna go find
I'm
this.
pretty sure I did the same as you. I think I was Rams and Chiefs as well. Um, but yeah, I think, from the Rams in that game, I think definitely it wasn't their best performance. But I think when you're playing the 49ers, a team that this year in particular and in past years, Niners have the ability to beat anybody. I think that's how scary the Niners are. They're not the best team by record by any means, but the Rams had the right to be scared in that game because the Niners have the capability. I hate to say it, they can beat anybody in the NFL. They beat Green Bay, they beat Dallas, and I think for the Rams, I mean, they didn't have their best performance in that game, but I think you're also playing the 49ers, a team that beat you twice in this season. From my memory, and of course that game was 2 weeks ago at this point, but the Rams, they played good right towards the end, and it was more their defense that stepped up. Of course, intercepting Jimmy
Yeah,
G at the end.
I mean the Niners had a chance to pick off Matt Stafford. I don't remember who it was. Just dropped
Jaquiski
it.
Tart.
Yeah, I knew it
Yeah,
was a goofy name. I remember watching that actually. I remember watching that
Yeah,
on my plane flight home, and I didn't really have a desire to watch it. But you know what else am I gonna do? Just stare out the window in pain? I guess so, because I kind of did do that as well. But no, I had the
yeah,
game on my phone, and I was watching it, and they said, "Oh, interception dropped by Jaquiski Tart," and I was like, "Excuse me,
yeah,
what is that guy's name again?" Of
yeah,
course, leave it to a guy named Jaquiski to drop a potentially game sealing interception. Yeah,
yeah,
but when the Rams got the ball back under 2 minutes left and they had the lead, I knew it was over. You want to know why it was over? Because Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to win it. He's not going to lead a game-winning drive. It's just not going to
yeah,
happen. Jimmy G is not it. Um,
yeah,
whether Niner fans want to hear that or actually they probably know that. I think a lot of Niner fans are wanting to get rid of Jimmy G. I think the Niners themselves want to get rid of Jimmy G. It's going to be an interesting offseason as far as a lot of key free agents, Aaron Rodgers being one of them, Devontae Adams and all,
yeah,
but that's the topic for another time. I don't really know.
yeah.
I haven't really given much thought to this Super Bowl. I'm not gonna lie with you.
No,
Just
yeah.
because, like,
I
yeah, I don't really care. If I'm being completely
yeah.
honest, I don't really care. Um, and I can't.
Yeah, well,
Find Oh well.
I think the funny thing is with this Super Bowl, and sort of a side note, like game aside, like these are two teams that don't really have some of the biggest fan bases, which is kind of interesting. Like the Rams recently moved back to LA, right?
Yeah.
And everyone knows, I mean, I think it's kind of an ongoing joke in California, especially that like no one really cares about the two current LA football teams like
No.
that much. And then of course the Bengals have loyal fans, but they're at the end of the day they're a smaller fan base
They're
compared
smaller
to
because they come from a smaller city in Ohio, but at
yeah,
the end of the day, they're definitely on the more diehard side of the
yeah,
spectrum when it comes to fans. Um,
yeah,
they kind of remind me a lot of the Chiefs fan base. The Chiefs have more fans, obviously, but it's just you think about it. You're in two cities. What the hell do you do besides watch your football team? I mean, honestly, there's
yeah,
nothing to do in those cities. Joe Burrow himself said, "Oh, well, the reason that the Bengals don't have a COVID outbreak is because there's nothing to do in Cincinnati." So I think that's the reason
yeah,
the Chiefs and the Bengals have such great fan bases is because it's very easy, I guess, in those two cities to get hooked on football. But I
right,
definitely believe that the Bengals have a much better fan base than the Rams do. And
yeah,
I've heard from some sports talk show that the Rams, LA is just a weird sports city who only likes winners. They're so spoiled
right,
with their teams. I mean, they have two teams for every sport. So it's like obviously LA wants what is glamorous and shiny and winning. You know what I'm saying? And so the Rams are
yeah,
definitely doing that. They're definitely making a case for why they deserve fans because obviously they've
for
been
sure.
winning a lot since they came to LA. But you know, I mean, how many people in LA are
Right.
Clippers fans as opposed to Lakers? How many people in LA are Ducks fans as opposed to Kings? How many people in
Right.
LA are Angels fans as opposed to Dodgers? So, there's just LA is just a weird city. I think if there's a fan base that deserves this championship, it's easily the Bengals. And if they win it,
Yeah.
good for them. Like I don't really care. And but honestly, like I'm still pulling for the Rams, not because I'm mad at the Bengals for beating the Chiefs. Don't get me wrong, I am. But at the same time, I just really want to see Sean McVay, Aaron Donald, and Matt Stafford all get rings. At the end of the day, like that's what I
Yeah.
want to see the most.
Yeah.
I feel like the Bengals just kind of spoiled in a sense because they're not really expected to be here. Then Joe Burrow is his first full year as a starter. Jamar Chase's rookie year, and here they are already in the Super Bowl. Whereas you've had guys in the league for many years, Aaron Donald, Matt Stafford, Sean McVay, who've been working for years to come and get a championship. So I just feel like they're more deserving of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I to your point about LA, I think I think the city of Cincinnati deserves the championship more than LA, 100%. But I also think that Matthew Stafford is one of the hardest working QBs
For sure.
that we've seen in this generation, and I think he came to LA with a goal, of course, in that trade, and he's fulfilling that goal right now. So I think definitely to your point, I think the Rams, the players, individuals themselves, and the coaching, McVay is, a genius, right? So I think for sure, I think they deserve it. I'm pulling for the Rams as well. I mean, they're the more local team, and I have family that likes them and whatnot. So I'm pulling for the Rams for sure. But I also, in the back of my mind, do acknowledge that the Raiders are the only NFL team to ever win an LA Super Bowl, and it would be kind of cool to keep it that way. So that would be an interesting thing if the Rams were to lose. The
Hold
Raiders
on.
would
What
still
do
be
you
the
mean by
only
that? Are you saying they're the only LA team to win a Super Bowl, or the only team to win a Super Bowl in LA? Like, hold on. I'm kind of confused.
LA team. LA team.
So when they were
The
the
LA
Los
Raiders.
Angeles Raiders, was that the last time they won Super
Yeah.
Bowl in LA?
Yep.
Oh,
1984. Yep.
yikes.
Yeah. So
Well, I
like
mean, yeah, I
that.
got you.
Yeah. So definitely. I mean, yeah. I going back to like sort of like my predictions. I chose the Chiefs because I definitely thought that experience was going to win the game.
For sure.
And I think you definitely bring up a good point with the coaching being out coached. I mean, I think the biggest example of that really turned the momentum of this game was when they, obviously at the end of the first half, they decided to kind of have that sloppy play call that kind of costed them a touchdown.
I
Um,
just don't understand, and I'm gonna talk about this in my recap when I get around to it. It'll be before the Super Bowl, I imagine. I'll probably do that tomorrow. But the problem is that you don't have any time left, and you're being aggressive and going for it. You need 1 yard. Why do you throw behind the line of scrimmage? Like
right,
why
right,
would you do
yeah,
that? Like I know you have a lot of confidence in your guys, but that's just a shitty play call. And if you remember the Week 17 Bengals Chiefs matchup, it was the exact same story. The Chiefs had an opportunity to score right at the end of the half, could have even gotten 3, scored 0. And so when I saw that, it was tough because you'd already seen this script before. You'd already seen it. And so you were just worried that
yeah,
it was going to be a repeat where you dominate the entire first half. You're clearly the much better team, but you come out and you play sloppy in the second half. You only it's insane how it was an exact repeat almost. The Chiefs take
yeah,
a 21-3 lead in Week 17 to go into half, and they get stopped for another score at the end of half, and then they score 3 points in the entirety of the second half. The exact same thing in the AFC Championship game. Go 21-3, get stopped at halftime to score 0, and then only put up 3 points in the entire second half. And I know there's a lot of blame on Patrick Mahomes for this loss, and I see why. He's not invincible. He's just another quarterback at the end of the day. He's not a one-man show. He's not gonna lead us. He's not gonna single-handedly backpack a team to another Super Bowl. But what he has done for this
right,
franchise is incredible, and I hate that people are already quick to compare Joe Burrow to Patrick Mahomes. Just stop it. Patrick Mahomes, 4 straight hosted AFC championship games, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and 1 Super Bowl championship in every year as a starter in his career. So I don't want to hear these comparisons. Way too early. The problem with the second half, the Patrick Mahomes problem in the second half of that game was that they were running a lot of RPOs. What do you think Mahomes wants to do? Throw or hand it off? I mean, what do you think Patrick Mahomes wants to do? He wants to throw it every single time, and he did almost every single time. So one of the adjustments that the Bengals made was that they were only rushing 3 for the majority of the second half. They were only rushing 3, and they were having 8 in coverage. So almost everybody on the Chiefs, every receiver on the Chiefs is going to be covered when you're only rushing 3. So, like, it's hard for plays to develop. And the Chiefs that game were averaging 5 yards per carry. So why are you passing? I think the Chiefs only handed off 8 times in the entire second half. When you're averaging 5 yards per carry, why the hell are you not running it more, especially when the Bengals are only rushing 3 a play? If you would have run it off, if you would have handed it off, ran the ball more, they would have easily won that game. This is just the coaching not adjusting, because the Bengals coaches made the adjustment at halftime to put 8 in coverage and only rush 3. The Chiefs did absolutely nothing to counter that adjustment, and look where it ended up. It resulted in 3 Chiefs points the entire second half, and those 3 points didn't come until the ticking seconds to tie the game with the field goal. So it's very frustrating what could have been. And it hurts. And I've seen a lot of comparisons. Well, how does this hurt in the Chiefs' kingdom as opposed to last year's Super Bowl? And I think it hurts more than the Super Bowl. I think it hurts more than the Super Bowl because in the Super Bowl we were never really given a chance from the beginning with how terrible that O-line was. Mahomes scrambling for 500 yards, most in Super Bowl history. You have no chance when your O-line doesn't protect you, right? So the Chiefs weren't really supposed to win that game to begin with. They didn't even have a chance from the beginning. In this game, we were heavy favorites. We were up 21-3 for Christ's sake, and you just collapse like that at home. That hurts. That hurts more because we're supposed to be in the Super Bowl right now, and we should be. But that's what happens, and I must say, unfortunately, I watched this with my own 2 eyes, but in overtime, on 3rd and long, the Chiefs are passing to Demarcus Robinson. Why? Why? I'll tell you why. It's because the Chiefs don't have a bona fide wide receiver 2. They just don't. They have Tyreek Hill, and then who else? McCole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle. These are not guys you rely on to get you to a Super Bowl. And this is another part of the roster that the Chiefs lack, is that second wide receiver. We don't need a superstar. We just need somebody consistent who doesn't fumble and who doesn't just suck like McCole Hardman does, and suck like Byron. Pringle's had his moments, but he's not a great receiver. Demarcus Robinson is okay on his best day, but he's not a great receiver. So in overtime, on 3rd and long, on your first drive, you win the coin toss, 3rd and long, you throw to Demarcus Robinson, there's problems with the roster. Because the Chiefs were completely healthy in this game. There were no outstanding injuries at all. It's just another thing is the defense. There's also a lot of blame on the defense for the Chiefs. I don't think the defense is necessarily to blame. I think for the most part, they did their job. There's not much, you can't expect the defense to just... When the Chiefs score 3 points in the entirety of the second half, you can't rely on your defense to win you the game. I'm sorry, but you have to score more than 3 points in the AFC Championship game at home. You have to do it. Now, I will say this, I hope Frank Clark is gone, because this season, he was the most paid player on the roster. He had this highest salary on the entire Chiefs roster. He had, in this playoff, he had 0 sacks, 1 pressure. When you're the highest paid player on the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's what you're doing in the playoffs, get the hell out. I'm sorry, but you gotta go. Yeah. You gotta go.
Yeah.
So that certainly didn't
No,
happen at
yeah.
all. The Bengals had more
Yeah.
sacks on Mahomes than the Chiefs had sacks on Burrow. And if you remember the week prior, Burrow got sacked an NFL playoff record 9 times in a single game. So there's clearly something wrong. When Chris Jones isn't getting pressures and sacks, when Frank Clark gets one pressure, I don't even think he had a single pressure in this game. It might have come in the Steelers game, actually, as one pressure. I don't really know. All I know is that Frank the Shark Clark did not have his presence felt in this game or the entire playoffs. So I'm picking a bone with him right now. I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, I think the biggest reason the Chiefs lost goes back to the coaching. You know, how can you not hand the ball off more in the second half? You're averaging 5 yards per carry in this game,
Right.
and you hand off the ball an outstanding 8 times in the entirety of the second half. That's pathetic. I'm sorry, but that's pathetic, and that is the main reason the Chiefs lost this football game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's well said. And I mean, I just think, yeah, honestly, like when it was all said and done, I thought the Chiefs were going to be able to pull it off, but at the end of the day, I mean, even if they did win, I just would have felt uncertain about, going forward, just because like the whole 3 point probably, even if they were able to hold the Bengals down. But I mean, overtime was interesting, and I think it's funny because the people, the whole like the coin toss controversy. I know that's just part of it, and then of course the Chiefs won it. And so I don't think that can be used as a valid
Yeah, you cut out, man.
like game. All good now. Or
Try speaking.
can you hear me?
A little bit. Go back about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying, like the coin toss. I just think like,
Right.
I mean, that was just an interesting thing I thought of, because after the Bills game, people were kind of solely crediting the Chiefs win with the coin toss, and then of course in the Bengals game they won the coin toss and lost the game. So I think that's just an interesting thing I thought about, because it doesn't guarantee a win. But no, I think the Bengals definitely, they deserve to win. They deserve to make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, beating the Chiefs twice in one season is hard to do in itself. For sure. It took them a lot to get there, for sure. But I think like, the Super Bowl, I guess I'll just go ahead and make my prediction, at this point. I think I got the Rams winning it. I'm just going to be straight up. That's my prediction. I got the Rams winning it, and I'm going to go, semi low score. I'm going to go 23-16 final score. I think it's going to be like a pretty low scoring game because the good defenses. But I also think that we're going to have some action, of course. And I think for the Rams, their keys to the game are not that little to none on interceptions for Stafford. That's a huge issue he's had this season. Of course, kind of exposing the weak points in the Bengals defense. Their secondary is pretty good, but if they can get Cooper Kupp open, I think they're going to win. And I also think utilizing the run game as well, because Cam Akers, of course, pretty good running back himself. Of course, he fumbles a lot, but I think he's good. And I think for the Bengals, I think their keys to the game are just kind of what they've been doing, in the playoffs. Really, just finding Jamar Chase downfield, getting Burrow, to be hot. But I like I said, I think the Rams are more of the experienced team. I also think they are more deserving than the Bengals, just based on players. But that being said, I won't be surprised if the Bengals make future Super Bowls in years to come, because they're a very talented team. They're a team on the rise. But I think I got the Rams winning this one 23-16. It's going to be a good game, though. It's going to go down to the end, for sure.
I also have the Rams winning this game, just because I feel like you can't throw away your future and get all that super talent just to not win the Super Bowl, and in your home stadium, mind you. So I feel like
Right.
the cards are just... Did you know the Bengals in the preseason had the same betting odds as the New York Jets to reaching the Super Bowl? They had the same chance of reaching the Super Bowl in the preseason as the Jets did. And so just based on that alone, the Bengals are the definition of a Cinderella story. And I think they're very fortunate to be at this point. they win in round one, and they barely beat the Raiders. There was controversy with the introvert. How do you? What is that called? I'm like having an inadvertent whistle. Yeah, inadvertent whistle. So, there was controversy there. I still think without it, the Bengals probably still would have won that game, just because it was kind of. I mean, you don't need to elaborate on it because I know you'll disagree, but I think the Bengals still win that game. The next week at the number 1 seed Titans, you probably lose that game if Ryan Tannehill doesn't throw a last second interception there, and then you win it on a
Right,
game
of course.
winning time expiring field goal. And then they're also fortunate the next week against the Chiefs to just have the coaching completely implode in the second half. I think they're very fortunate. I think all three of those games were lucky for the Bengals. I really do. And I think this is where their luck runs out, because you're getting a dominant Rams team, and there's questions about the Rams, but they just beat the 49ers, one of the best defenses in the league. Prior to that, they beat the Buccaneers, and there were questions about how they performed in the second half, letting the Bucs come back 27-0. But at the end of the day, they got it done. Not 27-0, 27-3. But, at the end of the day, they got it done. They held off.
Yeah.
They ended Brady's career right there in Tampa, right out of the playoffs.
Right.
And so the Rams, they're a good team, and they deserve to be here. So I think this is where the luck of the Bengals run out, and I think this is where the Rams finally win it all. I mean they won it back in 99 or something like that, but I think they'll win it here.
No, yeah, for sure. And I think also for the Bengals, this is really the first playing in the playoffs that doesn't have any sort of uncertainty. I think the Rams, like you said, they've had some problems. I think that the Buccaneers game was a good example of that. Of course, they almost lost the game. But that being said, though, I think when you look at the teams the Bengals have played, it's mostly been teams that have had some sort of issues. So I think for sure brought up a good point. I think they definitely just they unlucky over the course of the playoffs. But I think the Rams are the better team just overall. Yeah, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
I forgot to unmute myself on the OBS, but yeah, I think it'll be a good Super Bowl. I hope it's a good Super Bowl. I hope it's better than Super Bowl 53, the last time the Rams were in it. And at the end of the day, I'm just hoping that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Just one more game for us NFL fans to reminisce of our season and how our team didn't win it all. And here we are. I don't know what happened to Casey. His screen's messed up. I can't hear him. But yeah, I'll do my Chiefs recap tomorrow. Finally get it done, and probably won't get very many views. Don't really care. I didn't have a desire to fly home and then first thing make a YouTube video about the loss that I had to fly up to witness. But it is what it is. Casey is just gone. Technical difficulties. Where is that dude at? It looks like it's just me now. Oh, is he coming back?
I think Yeah, I think we're all good now.
I think so.
Um, yeah, I think just to you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think one kind of point I just had to bring up was not only are the Bengals, I'm not going to go out and completely say they're lucky because their wins were good, but I think you're playing a Rams team that has no sort of scratch. You know, it's like the Rams are the real deal. And I know I've said that already, but I think, can you really think of a weak point in the Rams team? Not really. I mean, yeah, I really can't think of a weak point. Their secondary, you got Jalen Ramsey, D-line, Von Miller, Aaron Donald. Quarterback is elite. Wide receiving core is great. I mean, the Rams have, like I said before, they really don't have uncertainty. Whereas teams like the Raiders, of course, had uncertainty in the wild card round. The Titans had uncertainty with Derrick Henry returning and Ryan Tannehill not playing to his best, and the Chiefs having the coaching issue. And then, of course, like you said, only one really truly reliable receiver in Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, of course. So I think you look at the Rams, and there's no weak spot, really.
Yeah.
There's really no weak spot. Matthew Stafford's interceptions, which he does throw too many, I think. But I think as long as he keeps that under control, which is a very preventable thing, Rams are winning this game. Maybe even by more than a touchdown in my prediction. But I think the Bengals, like you said, very good team. They got receivers. They have some good defenders as well. Hubbard, of course. But yeah, man, I just I've seen a lot of people on the hype train of Cincy. Because I think they're kind of the cooler team to be rooting for. They have a young quarterback, young elite receiver, and they kind of have swagger. But I also think that, it really will come down to team, and I think that's LA.
Well, if I wasn't a Chiefs fan, I'd be rooting for the Bengals, because I would admit that the Bengals are a fun and cool team to follow. But obviously, I'm not going to say that. But I feel like that's what most people are thinking and saying. But yeah, it'll be a decent game, I suppose. We'll just have to wait and see how everything unfolds. But I'm rooting for the Rams. I'm rooting for the Rams because I want to see Stafford, I want to see McVay, I want to see Donald, I want to see others get the ring. And I think there's nobody more deserving than Matt Stafford. He had to suffer, waste half his career in Detroit, and so never got the recognition he deserved until he was in LA, and now he's finally getting it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we agree on this because I can imagine in the past couple Super Bowls you've probably been rooting for opposite teams. But I'm glad we agree on that because I just think universally I feel like even Bengal fans will say Matthew Stafford is very deserving of a ring. Even they might hate to admit it, but Matt Stafford has, like I said, he's one of the hardest working quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's on top of that, he's just a great quarterback. Like when it's all said and done. And Joe Burrow will have his moment. Will probably win multiple Super Bowls if this progression stays where it is of him having a great season. But I think this is Stafford's time. Who's to say he has that much time left in the NFL? But he probably does. Complications will happen, and so I think Stafford is deserving of it. I think Sean McVay is one of the most brilliant coaches in the NFL, if not the most in terms of what he's able to do. But yeah, I'm rooting for the Rams. I mean, they're the more local team, and I just think Cincy is going to have their moment down the road. Cincy is they're probably going to win multiple Super Bowls with Joe Burrow. I mean, if we're being real. But yeah, I think really for the Rams, it's their time. Looking at the comments, Untouchable Raider says, "Do you hate the Rams because they're the rivals of the Chiefs battle in Missouri?"
No, it'd be the same reason as me hating the Marlins, just because they're in the same state as the Rays. I don't have an issue with the Marlins except for when we play them. And the thing with the Chiefs and the Rams is they're in different conferences. It's not like they're division rivals. So just because they play in the same state, they don't even play in the same state anymore. But like even when they were in the same state, I was still young and trying to figure out how to understand football pretty much. So like I never had an issue with the Rams to begin with. And you know, when they moved to LA, it was like, okay, bye, I guess. But it wasn't, it wasn't like, it's not like they're the reason we lost many playoff games or anything. Nah, they were in the same state. We only played them once every 4 years. So, no
Yeah.
big rival. No, I don't hate the Rams. I've always kind of liked the Rams, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like it's just kind of hard to dislike the Rams, you know?
It
Like,
is,
what's
yeah.
to hate about them? They've
The
never really
owner,
screwed
that's
anyone
it. Just
over
the owner.
because,
For
yeah.
like screwing over
I
St.
mean,
Louis, but I don't think
honestly,
St.
most
Louis
people,
had a fantastic football fan base to begin with, so I don't really like
yeah.
necessarily. I don't agree with going to LA just because
Yeah.
LA like already proved that they weren't a good football city before. I don't know
Yeah.
the whole thing. I don't really care about the whole thing because at the end of the day, I'm a Chiefs fan. But you talk about Joe Burrow
Yeah.
potentially winning multiple Super Bowls, and I'm not ruling that out, but you got to take into account. He's playing in a conference with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, all these young super talents. So to be able to win multiple Super Bowls in this conference over the next 10 years is going to be a very
Yeah.
difficult task. Even for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, it's going to be a very difficult task. And if Aaron Rodgers eventually comes to if the Aaron Rodgers gets traded to the AFC or signs with the AFC this year, then there's just another star quarterback
True.
in this conference. And then you look at the NFC. Look who made it. It was Matthew Stafford and Jimmy Garoppolo in the NFC Championship. So, it's the
Yeah.
AFC is a
That's a great
very,
point.
very loaded conference when it comes to young talents. And so I'm not ruling
Yeah.
out that Joe Burrow can make multiple Super Bowls. I think he can, but I also think it's very, very early to jump to how his career is going to turn out. This is his first full season as a starter. You have to remember, in his rookie year,
Yeah.
he tore his ACL pretty early on, so nobody really knew, well, is he the real deal or not? And even now, it's not fair to jump to, is he the real deal or not, because it's only been one season.
Yeah.
People when Patrick Mahomes had his 2018 season, first year as a starter, there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh my God, this kid's gonna win multiple Super Bowls." But there were also a crowd of people that were like, "Okay, well, it's just 1 year. You have to give it a few years." And now that it's been a few years, people realize, "Okay, yeah, well, Mahomes, he's the real deal now." So I think we got to give Joe Burrow a couple more seasons to see if he's really all that. But I'm not going to deny at all that he has had a fantastic season, one of the best of all the quarterbacks in the
Yeah.
league, and he deserves the recognition he's gaining right now.
For sure. And I think honestly, to your point, I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals have an equal chance of winning multiple Super Bowls than the Buffalo Bills or any other upcoming team in the AFC. Because of what you said, I think I definitely agree. But I think this year, I think I could definitely see the Bengals being a one and done type team, but I also could see them being a dynasty. It's just like it's the sort of thing where you have no idea how it's going to play out because, like you said, it's his second year in the NFL, and it's also his first year, like you said, like you also said, his first year as a full starter. And saying Jamar Chase is a rookie, so it's like there's so much uncertainty. But the one thing we do know is that the Bengals, are a very clutch team. They're very good at getting wins in the final moments, and that's been proven in every playoff game this year. But I also think that, the AFC is a conference that the games go down to the wire, and the Bengals, they very well could have lost. They very well could have had a first round exit to the Raiders, and I know I'm biased, but they could have lost in the second round to the Titans. There's like the Bengals, it's like there's a lot of red flags I'm seeing with their playoff victories, but they're at the end of the day, no one cares if as long as you win, no one's going to point out really the concerns as much as they do the praisings, because
Right.
the fact of the matter is the Bengals did get great wins, but who's to say that they were like necessarily done deal type games? They weren't at all. So yeah.
Yeah, and there's just so much talent in the AFC. Notice how I didn't say Lamar in that list of quarterbacks. But, there's a crowd of people out
Yeah.
there who think that he's going to be something special. No, he's just another Michael Vick. But at the end of the day, it's it's a loaded conference, and I think obviously I'm biased, but I think Mahomes is still the best quarterback, and he's still the guy to beat in the AFC. I think a lot of people agree with that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's really all I have. Go Rams, I
Yeah.
guess. I'll be wearing my Chiefs jersey though, and
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be
room.
wearing my Rams jersey, I guess, because I'm going to a Super Bowl party, and there'll be a couple. There's actually going to be quite a few fans there,
Yeah,
and
it's mine,
like
right?
I have Rams jerseys because my family. Yeah, for sure. I'm pulling up,
Right,
but
right, right.
no, yeah, I have some Rams jerseys, and I don't talk about this on my channel or publicly because I just like I'm a Raiders guy. Like I'm not a Rams fan, but I do have respect for the Rams. They're in the same state as the Raiders, or as me rather, not the Raiders. But yeah, I mean, I love LA as a city, and you know, I guess the Rams are really the only team in LA I have respect for because all of my teams are rivals with LA teams. It's in some capacity, and I mean, the Dodgers are universally hated by people outside of LA. So it's like I feel like we talked about this earlier. The Rams are like the one team in LA that like no one really has beef with, so to speak. I guess unless you're a Niner fan or maybe even a Seahawk fan or a Cardinals fan. But like besides that, I feel like a lot of teams in LA are universally hated, like the Lakers, just because of their
Well, I think the
egos
same
and
goes
whatnot.
for I think the same goes for the Chargers, and I think the reason is just because they haven't
Yeah,
been in LA for that long yet, and so nobody's really grown
yeah,
to hate the fan base. I mean, there's a reason that Dodgers fans are hated. They're just annoying. You go to the away games, they're the Yankees fan base of the West. You know, they dominate the division
oh
rivals'
yeah,
home stadium and start their chants. It's just nobody likes fans like that. Just nobody
yeah,
likes fans like that. So. They're very
yeah,
much hated, and the Rams fans, Bengals fans, they're not no, not Bengals, Rams fans, Chargers fans, they're not like that because they're still trying to develop a fan base. They're not, when you have a
yeah,
Chargers game in Kansas City, how many Chargers fans are there? Hardly any. You know what I mean? And so
yeah,
it's just it takes years to develop a fan base. But yeah, I mean that's about it. You got any closing
yeah.
comments?
No, I just think I think I'm glad we talked about this. It was another a great year. Well, I guess it was
You
only
know,
like
I'm
5 weeks,
kind of
but like a great month
sad
or
that
so.
this is closing off now because I
Yeah,
I look forward to doing these when the time comes. Like I can't even tell you
yeah,
how excited like the day of our first stream of this playoff. It was the round one preview, the wild card weekend preview, and I was driving in my car a couple hours prior, and that was the only thing on my mind. I was like, oh man, I can't wait to go home and get on with the boys and just start talking football. Like I was really excited
yeah,
for it. So it's gonna be like a year until this comes back. So I I'm kind of sad that it's ending, but we'll see you next year. And I'm
yeah.
sure me and Case
Well,
here will do some other streams too, like
exactly. Yeah,
hockey playoffs and whatnot. But we'll
stadium,
figure.
stadium stuff with the A's and Rays.
Yeah, exactly, and we'll figure
Yeah,
stuff out when the time comes. You won't have to wait another year for streams like this again. But it was a good ride this
yeah,
year.
yeah,
I wish you know what. I'm gonna go try and find that notebook that has our predictions in it real quick, just so I can go over the last few things.
yeah. No, yeah, but I think definitely, if you're somebody that likes, what our
Uh-oh.
collaboration, like
They're cutting out again. Great.
last year's playoffs and this year's playoff, we had a difference. Oh shoot, all good or
Yeah, I think we're good.
all right? Yeah, for sure. I think there'll be a lot of opportunities for us to go on here once again
Right.
in between, the this year's playoffs and the next year's playoffs for sure. So I think, definitely something to keep an eye out on. But yeah, what does the notebook say our predictions are?
Well, before I get into that, what is your prediction for the Super Bowl? Is it Rams?
Yeah, Rams by a touchdown.
All right. LAR. I'll text Kanav his. I actually texted Kanav
Yeah.
since he couldn't join us last week. I asked him for his predictions, and he did say Cincinnati and Rams. So he did go for 2 for 2
Oh,
in the conference championship.
wow.
You and I both went 1 for 2. So the overall results, minus the Super Bowl because we're not there yet. Casey, you went 6 for 12, so an easy 50%. You were 50-50, pretty much a coin flip. So if you were going to be right or not. And Kanav and I were actually tied at 9 for 12. So I think I could have done better.
Not bad.
I think I could have done better. 9 for 12 was decent. So what does that make? 3 games wrong the entire playoffs? So,
75%.
Could be better, could be worse. But that is the end of season predictions, I suppose. But with that being said, I think that's about it. I think it's time to wrap this thing up and call it a season for us. But see you on Sunday, I guess. See the game on Sunday. See what happens. I'm sure Casey will recap it, even though his teams aren't playing in it. So, if you want an honest opinion, go over to his channel. I guess I'm not. I can tell you right now, I am not going to do that. So, so go over to Casey's channel for that content. I'll catch you whenever we decide to do another stream again.
Yeah. Sounds good, guys. Thanks for watching.